Hi everybody. So today I'm going to look at the tactical uses of a Fire Prism in your Eldar army. Now the Fire Prism is not a complicated tank. It's not one that's difficult to understand. The point of the Fire Prism is lots and lots of firepower, strong firepower, for a very cheap cost. It doesn't cost very many points, the base cost of the Fire Prism to put them in your army. And, it's just meant as a dual-duty type of tank. It can threaten vehicles, including ones with heavy armor, pretty reasonably. It can threaten groups of infantry, of swarms of infantry. It can threaten ultra-elite heavy infantry, things like Terminators and Paladins. It can really be a multi-purpose threat against just about anything on the board. The only thing it doesn't tend to threaten very well would be flyers, because it has a blast weapon. As we know, blast weapons cannot be fired at flyers. But that aside, it's a very versatile tank. Now in 5th edition, the Fire Prism was a solid tank. It was a solid buy, had good uses, but in 6th edition, it's gotten very many boosts. It's got quite a few boosts to its power. First of all, it gets a Jinx save. Just by moving around, it gets a 5+ cover save. Pretty amazing on its own. The most important change to the Fire Prism is that its main gun, which fires blasts, either small or large blasts over here, has the option of both of these. When it fires these blasts in 6th edition, if the dot was over a hull, you hit it at full strength. If the dot was off the hull, even if you hit a vehicle, it was at half strength. That is gone. In 6th edition, if any part of the template hits a vehicle, if you hit it like that, you get full strength from your blast. That is an amazing, amazing boost. It actually means that the Fire Prism is much more accurate with its high strength hit, because before, if you tried to go here, you scattered slightly off. This is basically worthless against a tank with good armor. But now, even if you scatter off and you just clip an edge, you're still going to hit it with full strength. Very big boost to that tank. Let's talk about it a little bit. I mean, it's got Ballistic Skill 4. It's actually one of the only tanks in the regular codex that has Ballistic Skill 4, which is kind of shocking because it actually fires blasts. But that's a nice thing. It makes it pretty accurate. It's got the standard, Eldar armor in the front and sides. It has the standard upgrades you can buy, but I'm gonna argue that you really don't need to buy any of those upgrades. You don't need in 6th edition, I'm going to say, you don't need the Spirit Stones necessarily. You don't need the vectored engines necessarily. You don't necessarily need the star engines, and you really don't need the holofields anymore. In 5th edition, holofields was a great buy because, some people would argue it was a great buy because it would keep this thing alive so that it could actually contest objectives late game. In 6th edition, tanks can no longer contest, or the official term is deny, objectives. So the whole purpose of keeping something alive just for moving around and blocking off objectives is gone from vehicles. So holofields doesn't actually do very much in this edition. So I would argue you want to keep him very cheap. Keep him at his 115 point cost, or potentially upgrade his gun. Now what does he come with? He comes with the top gun, the Prism Cannon, which either fires a Strength 9 AP2 small blast, or a Strength 5 AP4 large blast. So obviously we've got anti-vehicle killing power, because it's AP2, it's going to roll higher on the penetration table. It's Strength 9, it actually has a chance to hurt heavy armor. And we've got generally infantry killing, especially swarm infantry killing power from this thing. The second gun it comes with is just the basic little pea shooter down here, the twin-linked shuriken catapult, 12-inch range, twin-linked, which is basically strength 4 shooting. Not a great gun. I mean, you're not buying this vehicle for that gun. That happens to just be a nice little bonus. But you can upgrade that gun. You can swap that out for a shuriken catapult for 10 points. And this is not a bad upgrade. This is not a bad upgrade. My sort of philosophy on heavy support has always been that if you're taking a heavy support slot, maximize the firepower. Now, that said, I don't tend to buy the upgraded shuriken cannon on my Fire Prisms simply because I'm trying to keep them as cheap as possible. If they suffer a weapon destroyed result, then there's a 50-50 chance this is the one that's going to go. You want the lower gun to be blown away, not the big one, which incidentally is another big boost in 6th edition. In 5th edition, your opponent chose he was going to take that gun away. In 6th edition, you have a 50-50 chance that the big gun's going to stay on a weapon destroyed. You can upgrade if you want. Of course, as a fast skimmer, he could go 12 inches and still fire both guns at the same target. That may be something you like. It's not something I tend to upgrade, though, on the Fire Prisms. I'm trying to keep them cheap. The other thing to know about the Fire Prism is if you have 2 Fire Prisms, so you have a second Fire Prism, then they can combine their beams. So as long as they see each other, you know, and believe me that the distance between them can actually be infinite. That was clarified back in 5th edition. Nothing seems to have changed for 6th. This distance theoretically can be infinite. If you're playing a massive apocalypse game, one guy can be, 20 meters away from that one. Not that it's going to matter in most games. The main thing is to have line of sight. The gun itself has 60-inch range, so you should be able to fire at most things on a standard table. And when you link the beams, you pick one as the main firing tank, let's say this guy. The other one has to be in line of sight. He gives up his shooting ability to do that. The beam becomes twin-linked, and the strength goes up by 1, so strength 9 becomes strength 10, and the AP value goes down by 1, so AP2 becomes AP1. Strength 9 AP2, strength 10 AP1, and the gun is twin-linked when you link the beams. Very, very effective, makes it extremely accurate. You know, here we are, look what I rolled. An 11, and the direction, that means it's going to be scattering 7 inches away because you're subtracting 4, which is its ballistic skill. Let's twin link it. Now when you twin link, you can't just cherry pick one dice, you take all the dice. And you roll again. And look at that. Perfect example. Direction dice, but I only rolled a 3, subtract my ballistic skill of 4, I hit. Now it's not a barrage weapon. Keep in mind, it's just a blast weapon. It's not a barrage weapon. You can't fire it if you don't have line of sight to the thing you're shooting at. Now, what does that mean for the big template? Strength 5 AP4 becomes, when you link them, Strength 6 AP3. Great for killing Marines, right? And, just in general, the big template is going to be a great way to kill infantry. Now, there are other ways to kill infantry in the Eldar army, so I'm going to say that most situations you're going to be trying to use your Fire Prism to find targets that are going to be worth firing the strong template at. Because, they are your heavy support. Likely, they're going to be your main sort of anti-vehicle source of shooting in the army, or one of the main ones in the army. Now, let's talk about why the Fire Prism's gun became more effective in 6th edition. So we know that in 6th edition, blasts do their full strength of damage at anything that's clipped by the template, not just the center dot, like it used to be in 5th edition. This actually not only means that you can that you're more accurate, because now when you scatter, even though you might scatter like this, you're going to hit it at full strength. It also means that you can now blow away multiple vehicles with a single template. The only stipulation is the center of the dot has to be completely over the hull of a vehicle. So as we can see, it's completely over the hull, and it's partially over that other vehicle. So now if we roll and you get a direct hit, you're going to hit 2 vehicles at strength 9 AP2 or strength 10 AP1 if you link the beams. That's pretty amazing. Suddenly that makes the Fire Prism a pretty effective way of blowing up vehicles if they're bunched together. There are some situations, especially in the first turn of the game, a lot of times vehicles are cowering next to terrain, trying to get cover saves, that kind of stuff. So that gives you a lot of options. You want to look for those kinds of opportunities to hit 2 vehicles with one shot. Especially if you're twin linking the beams, you're going to be a better chance to re-roll. What do we roll here? We got a direct hit, perfect. And even if it wasn't a direct hit, look, it would have stayed exactly where it goes. Strength 9 or strength 10 hitting 2 vehicles for for a single action, that's a great thing. You want to look for those types of opportunities. And similarly, let's take a look at what the accuracy of something is. Let's just say it's in that exact spot that we had it there, and it's not twin linked. So it's actually going from this spot, going 7 minus 4 is 3 inches. Oops, pardon me. So it's actually, look, so we're going to miss that second vehicle, but 3 inches is actually going to put it about here. And even if it went about 6 inches, it would probably still clip. It's unbelievable how, with the ability to do full strength anywhere on the circle, how much more accurate a shot is, It went from being, if it went 3 inches, it would be off the vehicle. Now it's actually, it's still on there. So they're a lot more accurate in this edition. So in the 5th edition, the big problem was you had essentially like a fancy las cannon, if you fired it at a vehicle. That's gone, actually. It's much better than a las cannon because it could hit multiple vehicles, even if it scatters. You can hit a vehicle and guys nearby, So, a las cannon can't kill 4 models. This shot theoretically could. It has a chance to blow up the vehicle, has a chance to kill these 3 guys as well if you get that hit. Maybe if it scatters a little bit. So, you know, that's definitely a big boost for it. The ability to threaten multiple vehicles with a single shot if they're bunched together. And there will be points during the game where the vehicles bunch together. I guarantee you. It's just the way things are. You know, if you're trying to overtake, your opponent's trying to overtake an objective, he might have two rhinos belching forward both their, you know, groups of troops. I mean, suddenly those rhinos are ready to be shot at. Or, you know, there's lots of situations. So, something to think about there. Now, another way of targeting the beam from the Fire Prism is to actually deliberately clip vehicles rather than targeting vehicles. What do I mean about that? Here's an example of some infantry models. They're hanging out near a vehicle. Maybe they popped out, you know, and they beat something up. Now, we're firing here. Now, if I was going to target the vehicle, the rules are the dot has to be completely over the hull of the thing you're targeting. So if I put this down, you can see that, let me try to move my hand, there's actually no way to clip more than about two guys at once. There's only a way to, you can only clip about two guys at once, two infantry models, if you're going to target the vehicle. However, if instead I target an infantry model, so again, you know, the guy's there, the dot is completely over him, suddenly I can clip 4 infantry and I clip the vehicle. So that's because I've targeted the guy near the vehicle, because now the rules for you know, strength are very favorable. So you want to do that. That's one little trick you can use when you're targeting things. You know, clip the vehicle and target something near it instead. Now, in terms of the big template is very useful against infantry. You know, I don't recommend it as the main thing you should try to be firing every turn, but if there is the opportunity to blow away a bunch of infantry with it, then, you know, by all means. I mean, here, you know, you got an example of a template. I mean, if we target somewhere over this guy, we're probably going to clip, looks like 6 guys here. Looks like we're actually clipping about 6 of those guys if we're targeting him. Maybe we're clipping, you know, another 6 over here. Perhaps there's some way to move it to actually clip 7 of them. You know, that's not a bad thing. I mean, high strength, good AP, it's going to take them down if you twin link the beams. Then if these guys were Space Marines, strength 6 AP3, you would blow them away beautifully if they're out in the open. You know, that's a great way to kill things like Grey Knights. Keep in mind, though, with cover saves, you know, I don't love the big template for killing infantry. I have better ways of killing weak infantry in my army. You know, that's sort of a target of opportunity. If you've blown away everything that's already tough, then by all means start nuking the infantry with this thing. But, you know, it's not my favorite thing, because now the Strength 9 AP2 template is so deadly in 6th edition. So, you know, if you do have targets of opportunity, though, for infantry, feel free. Now, something else to remember is the Fire Prism is a tank, so that means it can tank shock through infantry, forcing a morale save. Now, keep in mind, in 6th edition, though, tank shock is much more dangerous because, you know, just taking a glancing hit from something might strip the final hull point off of you, you know. So, I mean, if these guys had Meltas here, which, you know, there's a guy with a Melta in the front, potentially, if he Death or Glories and you're down to 1 hull point, I mean, you just might be toast, you know, like something to really be careful of. However, you can tank shock. You can also ram. It's capable of ramming. It's a tank. Now, ramming in 6th edition is much nerfed. I mean, you can only ever go up to 12 inches. You can only go up to cruising speed to ram. Used to be that anytime you moved, aka going, you know, flat out, you'd be able to ram from like 24 inches away with a fast skimmer, but that's gone. So, you know, ram is more meant to beat up on weaker vehicles. It's not going to do a ton of damage, because you're going to probably max out at about strength 7 with an Eldar skimmer, you know, if you add up all the potential bonuses. But it is there, it is an option to do, so you can remember that. Now, technically speaking, if you did have 3 Fire Prisms, let's pretend this Falcon is playing the role of a Fire Prism today. If you had 3 Fire Prisms, you could still link all their beams into one tank. You know, if both of those guys see that guy, they can combine it. Now, that would be worthless, linking 3 guys if you're using the small template, because this, you know, strength cannot go above 10, and AP value cannot be better than 1. So 2 of them linking together gives you strength and AP1. 3 of them linking together gives you no extra benefit. It doesn't become twice twin linked. There's no such thing. No dice can ever be re-rolled more than once. The only purpose that might give you is it would turn this into a strength 7 AP2 template. You know, so if you're blasting on infantry, you've got strength 7 AP2. I don't think that's a great use of 3 Fire Prisms, to be honest. I would much rather at that point fire 2 Strength 9 AP2 templates, or 3 of them, pardon me, from 3 different Fire Prisms rather than waste, bunching them all together just for one template. I don't think that's a very efficient use. So it's not something I think you're going to have to worry about too much. Link up to 2 guys, but don't waste your time necessarily linking a 3rd one. Just some final thoughts on this. Make sure you're always moving with him, just to make sure you're always getting that Jinx save. Remember that vehicles in 6th edition get a full cover save from the thing that obscures them 25%. You don't need to be 50% or more anymore. So, if you're near a building, there's a building on this side, the wall comes up to about here, you can fire at something this way, and whatever shoots back at you is going to be you're going to be obscured against it. I mean, heck, even if there's like a statue somewhere around this area, that's like a good third of your vehicle that would be covered if there's a statue standing around here. So suddenly you can get cover very easily from things. So use that cover. Make sure you're hiding well. Try to deny cover to the things you shoot at with your gun, because it is a very powerful, but it's a single shot gun. And just go for those targets of opportunity. Try to take out 2 vehicles at once, and maybe clip an infantryman or 2 in the meantime. Try to blow away infantry while clipping a vehicle. Just try to get as much multi-damage use out of that single shotgun as you can. Alright guys, that was the video. I hope that was informative, and if you have any questions about how to use your Fire Prism, let me know. Thanks for watching.